Durka Durka, Muhammad Jihad.
I like it. Dougie Owen. Doug, it's your game, man. It's your game tonight.
No way.
Last week. Yeah.
I introed last week. I did the 43.
You most certainly did not, my friend.
No?
No.
What's up, Doom Nation? It's Doomcast number 44. At Doomcast Show is the Twitter handle. Of course, the website, Doomcast.com. We're back for another show. It's the 5th day of June 2014. Charlie McGrath alongside me, Doug Owen. The website, Doomcast.com, is where you can find everything. Did I mention that? You can also chat during the live show. And we've got some new features there. Some cool stuff we'll be talking about, amongst other news items and such of the day. What's up, Charlie McGrath?
I am looking through my 13, 14, 15-page anxiety attack motivated manifesto that I wrote. That is underway, I should say.
Well, watch out with the word manifesto.
Manifesto, and here I'm going to throw another one in there that's going to get a flag on it. I wrote this in Seattle yesterday, waiting at an airport. So wait a minute, I got. Yeah. So I got a lot of catchwords there. Seattle, which you're going to about enlighten us on what's going on there. Airport, manifesto. I'm screwed. They're coming to get me.
Maybe. I hope our producer is okay.
Here he is. He's messaging me right now in Skype. So at least his pencil's okay because it's chirping away there.
Well, and of course, Craig, our producer of the Doomcast Show, is a avid Second Amendment advocate, and he is not going to be pleased with the usage of this new political football. If you're wondering what the hell we're talking about, let's just get into it right here.
A live picture of the shooting scene at the Seattle Pacific campus. There has been a shooting on that university campus. The Seattle Fire Department is telling us that medics have transported 4 gunshot victims. That's the latest that we have. Those numbers are fluid. They could change, but 4 is the number we have right now. And at this moment, one of the men, one woman being treated with life-threatening injuries. Another man and woman are said to be in stable condition, and the suspect, we can now report, is in custody. The Seattle SWAT apparently still clearing buildings. They have been searching students. At first they thought there could be a second shooter. Now our understanding is they have ruled that out. We're trying to understand exactly what happened. A teacher's assistant just spoke to our affiliate about the scene. I wanted to play what she said.
We just heard muffled sounds. We were regarded as from another student who was in hesitation to just go back inside the building, to lock down, and just to, remain calm. What we heard were several different episodes. I heard specifically 2 different ones. One I thought was to be a teacher who's a jolly teacher. He, does experiments in class for chemistry.
What?
But once I knew that it was muffled shots, I then, told other students to sit down quietly, and we were evacuated by the police officers in due time. They came in a couple minutes later.
It's weird she said in due time. Young black
in due time,
lady.
Yeah, and the whole Breaking Bad chemical teacher, their chemistry teacher.
Yeah.
That might be lost on you. I don't know if you watch that series. But Craig is alive and well. He's trapped at the office right now for a very major tech company, of which we are not allowed to mention.
No.
But he's been absolutely buried because I was in Seattle. I had the most insane 20-hour day ever yesterday, but I
was starting to worry about it because I texted you and I was like, what's going on there? I told you to enjoy the coffee because you.
I saw that. I saw that today. And here's why: because the Samsung, the new Samsung, has a wonderful feature which is emergency power mode only. Right? Okay. And you can set it to that, and you have basically 2 functions. You can text and you can talk. And your display goes somewhat dim, and it's black and white only. But when it was set with 20% of the power left, it projected that it would last for 3 days at that level. So I left my house at 4 a.m. yesterday morning to head to the airport.
Sum Ting Wong.
and did not bring my charger, so I was stuck with a quarter of a battery all day long, but I made it work. However, if you tweeted me or texted me or whatever, there was no notifications, no beeps, no vibrations or anything like that, because all of your alerts are off at that point. But anyway, Craig and I were going. I had business to do in Tacoma. I had some to do in Kent, and we were going to go explore a big outdoor store, a gun store. Let me just say it, a gun.
Yeah, and for new listeners, Charlie McGrath is a professional hitman, so that's what he's talking about.
It gets me around the country, you know. It takes me to new and exciting places, Doug.
Yeah, you get to meet new people, change their lives, impact them in a very personal way.
Muffled shots, you know the routine, you know the deal. Thump, thump.
Yeah, thump thump. Where the hell is that thing? I'm not having a good time here with the technology today.
I was excited because I was going to get to meet face to face our executive producer. No, that's not me working. That's just a sound effect. But I was going to get to meet face to face our executive producer. But the Goliath tech company, of the name of which we are not allowed to speak, kept him chained to his cube world. He was cube farm man yesterday, so he couldn't get out there. But I hope to get out there again, Craig, fairly soon. And maybe we'll go grab some AKs and do some AK fun at the range, of course. Naturally.
Oh, that's very sweet of you.
Yeah,
it's nice.
It's bromantic.
That is bromantic. Don't be cheating on me, Charlie McGrath.
I can never cheat on you. We're at the hip. Oh, I moved up. That's something I did notice.
Let's just clarify. You were not the second shooter that is now no longer part of the fluid situation that Aaron Burnett was talking about?
As far as I know, I am not the second shooter of which he speaks. As far as I know. Yeah.
Good enough.
But that went down today, correct? I mean, just now. It's popping as we speak.
Yeah, absolutely. This is current.
Yeah, well, I'm safely in Bozeman, tucked into my Doom bunker, so there, it ain't me. It ain't me, NSA, CIA, FBI, ASPCA.
Right.
Yeah. Ain't me, y'all.
Eric Holder with your new domestic terrorist unit.
Yeah. Contrived crimes unit. That's what I have to...
See, this guy's going to be a domestic terrorist. I mean, we all wait in fear and horror to find out what websites he has been visiting, or what.
Yes. Or his manifesto.
The only good thing about this is that all of these people that want momentary fame or want to be remembered with all of these shootings now, your fame and your moment in the light is shorter and shorter and shorter. I mean, think about Chris Dorner. That was a huge story, and it ended in very ridiculous circumstances where they they burnt the cabin he was down in, and apparently
how many did he cap before? How many did he extinguish? 6, something like that.
I'd have to look. I'm sure there's a wiki page.
I don't remember, but I do remember how it ended. They torched him.
Well, and the cops shot a lot of innocent people. There were a couple people that got,
Well, God, damn it, Dougo. When he was going after law enforcement, nothing will stand in the way of going after somebody who targets law enforcement.
He too had a manifesto, Charlie McGrath. Just let me know.
We all do, Doug. We all do.
So so it sounds like it was pretty extreme, kind of chaotic for you. Is everything okay? Anything you want to share here with the Doom Nation?
Well, I kind of do, but then again, it's real. It's a real personal thing, and what the heck, it's not like...
Close to the chest? I mean, it's okay. You don't have to share it with us. It just seemed like before the show that you may have wanted to. You were talking about
it. I definitely do, and I definitely am going to, all right, well, so let me just break it down, all right? The whole health thing has been actually pretty good lately, but on my flight out, I was sitting next to a guy, and we were chit-chatting.
Just give a quick background for new listeners about your health crisis.
Yeah, well, I have late in life onset asthma, the cause of which we don't know. Doctors, they don't know what brought it on. They don't know why some things that work for regular asthma sufferers don't work for me. And my past prior to that was, in my whole entire adult life, there's only been one time where I would be exposed to anything that could be some kind of a lung destroying or lung damaging agent in the environment. And that was my time in the Persian Gulf War, in the first Gulf War. 60 plus days with hundreds and hundreds of oil wells on fire, to the point where sometimes it looked like night in the middle of the day. Not to mention the fact that we bombed the living hell out of so-called pesticide plants and potential weapons of mass destruction facilities. So we did, there is
chemical weapons, depleted uranium, all of those things,
right.
Potentials. Right,
and not just that is a fact that is very verifiable, and not just to be an alarmist on that. Some pun intended. When I was in the desert, we had no less than 6 occasions where we had chemical detectors that were activated, and those who were in the military, you know what that's about. You set a perimeter, and quite a good distance out, you have wired to a foxhole a chemical detector, and if it senses something several hundred meters out in front of your foxhole, it sends an alarm back into camp, and it gives everybody time to don their protective gear. Well, we had these go off on multiple occasions. So, and another caveat is I was a participant in taking an experimental vaccine for botulism and as well as for anthrax. So
I did anthrax as well.
Oh, did you? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So, but
they stopped the program 3 shots before it was over. So I took a bunch of them, but I didn't take all of them.
Well, we were told. First of all, we were told how people die of these things, and then we were told that these aren't really FDA approved, but they're safe. Go ahead and take them.
Right.
And I don't know anybody, sitting in the middle of the desert in Saudi Arabia and watching the air war, knowing full well that it's only a matter of time before we're crossing in to Iraq. Nobody said no. Everybody took that shot. So that is a chunk of time in my history where I definitely was exposed to things that were not necessarily beneficial to me. And I'm not the only one. I mean, there's a lot of other Gulf War veterans who have different ailments. I mean, Gulf War syndrome, there's a lot of different ailments out there that they're not explainable. Anyway, so
because so much of it's cumulative, you don't really know exactly what it was, or it's like
and when you're 20 years old, you can absorb you can absorb a lot of damage, and it won't manifest until you're older, and nothing manifested on me till I hit 40, and then it came on with a vengeance. Now, so there's the past, but my last several months have been actually very, very good. And a lot of it's homeopathic treatments that I do. The fact that I use a sinus rinse 3 times a day, every day, I am convinced prevents a lot of the issues that I have. And just
is that a neti pot?
Yeah, I don't like the neti pot. I use the bottle that you actually squeeze. You can get some power behind that jet stream, and then it gets it back deeper into your sinus and stuff. But yeah, it's basically the same thing. You use the salt and sterile water and clean out your sinuses, and just keep anything that could potentially be a hazard, to developing a virus or something like that. You can wash it out before it becomes a problem. So my health has been pretty good. On my flight yesterday, I'm sitting next to a guy from Bozeman, and we're talking, we're chit-chatting around, and it comes to the subject of kids, and he's telling me how 2 of his kids have pretty bad asthma, and he has chronic asthma. And so we start talking about asthma a little bit, and it's really it's almost like a group therapy. When you talk to somebody that has it, they get it, they understand the anxiety involved with it, the fear involved, and you hear them, myself included, say things like, "This is some way I don't want to die. I just, this is not how I want to go." And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, that's exactly how asthmatics go, is through the function of that disease. But you'll hear every one of them to a person say, I would rather eat a bullet. I would rather walk into the wilderness and never be seen again. I'd rather hurl myself off of whatever. Because you can just imagine me grabbing you by the neck and holding you underwater, and then letting you get just enough air to make it last 4 or 5 minutes before you finally black out and die. I mean, that's basically how you're going to go. So yeah, terrifying to say the least. But it is nice to commiserate or whatever.
Right.
What's going on in the back?
Bloodlet with the. Oh, I was just. Messing with some stuff here.
I just want to make sure that wasn't SWAT coming in through the door. So yeah, so we have this conversation and we're about an hour 45 minutes into the flight, 15 minutes to go, and I have the only thing I can describe it, the way I can describe it, is a full-fledged pedal to the floor anxiety attack, because it wasn't an asthma attack. My lungs were functioning. I could still talk. But it started low in my extremities down to my feet, this tingling sensation, and it culminated with this tingling in my chest, and it bing, and it felt like two gorillas were sitting on one on each side of my chest, and it was absolutely horrifying. And at that point, you just try to do your best Zen, and breathe, and the only thing you want to do is get the hell off of. Get out of this aluminum tube and start walking, and get away from these people, get away from this airplane, and change your environment as quick as you possibly can. So we land, and it's been 10 minutes, the last 10 minutes of the flight, and I'm wigging out internally, and the guy sitting next to me even realizes that I got something going on, and he says, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, I can talk. I'm just having a little bit of an issue here." And he's like, "All right, well, you're fine. And he's, we land and we're rolling to the gate, and there's a plane still there. So we have to sit on the tarmac for 15 minutes. And it was just absolute torture. By the time I got off, I'd realized that I'm not going to die. This isn't an asthma attack. It's a panic attack or an anxiety attack, whatever you want to call it. And I get out and I start walking down the concourse, and, I'm fine. To a point, I'm still, feeling kind of weird and tingly, but I know I've climaxed. Let me say,
you're peaking.
I peaked. So all day long, and it was a long day. I was there at 6 a.m, and I didn't fly out till 9 o'clock at night. All day long, the anxiety is weighing heavy on me, and I'm almost at the point where I don't want to fly home. I don't want to climb back on that plane and have that door sealed, and because I don't have anything with me. I mean, I have my basic rescue inhaler, but I have nothing else. I have nothing else that give me comfort that I could, I'm going to take this and I'm going to be fine. So it's going to be just a matter of
Xanax, man.
Well, I don't have any, and if I'd have had it, trust me, man. And there's people probably freaking right now about that. But if I'd have had you name it, I would have taken it. And in fact, I did. I'm at the airport.
I say that tongue firmly planted in cheek, by the way. There's better things out there, but not that you can necessarily do at the airport.
Well, yeah, and I would have if I could. If I'd have been in Colorado, I might have, I had 8 hours to kill. I might have went and handled this a different way.
Get a shot of tequila, something like that. I mean,
well, that takes me to the last 5 hours, about 4 hours, where I was sitting in the airport. And I'm not a big drinker, right? And in fact, hardly ever at all.
Right.
But I had 4 hours to kill, and I had this issue that I knew I was going to be facing. And so I did two things. One, I was talking to Bonnie, the webmaster, and she's at her church gathering that they do every Wednesday night. And so I tell her a little bit about this. So she's down in Alabama leading a prayer group. And this is like real time happening. This congregation is basically praying for my anxiety to not resurface, and it
did it work? Did it work?
Well, something worked because I said,
what do they call that? Is that faith healing? Is there a term for that, or is that just well wishes, good karma, good juju?
It would be intercession, like people are praying on your behalf.
Okay,
so the intercession. So and you know what? I'm not mocking it. I believe in it. I believe it works, and I'm grateful that she did it. And on sitting in the airport, I'd go into a little restaurant, and I have I think three or four, but before my flight came, IPAs, right?
Right.
And that might not sound like a lot to somebody who drinks a lot, but for me, I was basically on the verge of drunk. I was definitely buzzing hard, or on the verge of drunk. So, but the interesting thing, the thing that happened that is still I'm trying to work out in my head is I just had this incredible desire to write. And so I have my briefcase with me, and I have some literature in it
that's why most great writers are drunks. I mean,
you think so?
Yeah. Charles Bukowski, Hunter S. Thompson. I mean, need I go on?
Well, you don't need to, but you can.
I mean, yeah. I mean, think about how many of them were on drugs of some sort, and or heavy alcoholics.
Well, so I grabbed what I have.
War and Peace. Come on, that guy was wasted.
Yeah,
totally trashed, doing heroin.
Freezer
hanging out with hookers. That all may not be absolutely true. So,
well, we'll call it true.
Source it, people. Source it.
I mean, we're not claiming that everything's 1,000% vetted here. Some of it's just our opinion.
Yeah.
So anyway, I grab something to write on, and I start cranking out. Just the first thing I started with was just writing down the people I cared about. So I write down Doug, and you're on my list too, and so is Craig. I write down this just slew of people that I care about, and then I just go into basically an overview of our system, motivations of individuals, and how the motivations are perverted and corrupt, not because of the not to be negative on the individuals or not to point to them as doing something wrong, but because they're trying to operate nobly in a corrupt system. And it just goes on and on and on and on. And like I said, I'm 15 pages into it before my flight is called ready, and I don't know what to do with this now. And I don't think I'm done. I mean, I think this certainly could be put into legible English, first of all, that you could read. And it could be something, a commentary video that would be really, actually, I think, pretty powerful, because it doesn't condemn anything other than this current corrupt system, and I think it touches on a lot of factors that modern man has to. That's my time.
No. This stupid thing's doing this. I hate it.
I like that. You know the deal. So anyway, I'm not going to read. Obviously, I'm not going to read the 15 pages here, but I just wanted to get that, I guess, off of my chest.
Aww.
This isn't done. I mean, I am going to do something with this, because I don't ever toot my own horn, but this thing is, for whatever reason, it was written from a perspective of, it started out with, if I'm going to die, what have we done? What have we done as people? And you and I, what have we done? There's a lot of things I think we could hang our hat on that we've tried to do or aspired to do, and but truly, what are we leaving for? What are we doing in the name of love for our children, our wives, our family? What are we doing every day that we think is noble in the name of love that truly is just propagating the current? We're
doing infotainment right here on Doomcast for all the people.
No. I'm talking now in the royal we. What are we as a people? That everybody. I don't believe, as some of our fellow what am I trying to say? I don't believe, like some of the folks that we see in independent media that want to just attack, right? And that's attack the sheeple, right? We want to attack the people of the country who don't see eye to eye, and I don't believe.
Oh yeah. Sorry about that.
And the problem is that
I have
nobody
one in the background.
Yeah, I bet you do. Having a little fun with it there, aren't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I heard her. But I do think that Doug Owen, I believe that most people are not degenerate scumbags that want to, screw over the next generation. I believe most people, not all, but most people, they want to do the right thing for some, humanistic goal of greatness. They want to do the right thing for the people that they care about, and in doing so, in a spirit of being a provider or doing the right thing, we end up propagating this current system. And
what do you mean? I mean, just having to do work and to use Federal Reserve notes and
it's nothing that specific.
Do business with China, use Chinese. I mean, what is it?
Yeah, well,
all that in a bag of chips.
All that in a bag of chips, but I mean, just look at the notion of how much of our life we give in order to, do the right thing as far as amassing things, amassing, debt, mortgages, cars, education. We amass, and there's nothing wrong with any of those things, but it's the practice of achieving it, which is onerous, and we give. I mean, we literally, you go to work and do your electrical gig 8 hours a day. You're giving your life. That's your life. That's your time. You have nothing else.
Just for dollars, turning dollars, trying to keep a roof over our head. Well, I mean, that's why we have this model, and we're trying to transition. I think that if people find value in the analysis that we often do provide, personal insight, inside baseball, all of those things that this show alone brings you, then at some point it won't have to be nearly as onerous, and we'll have a lot more time to do things like read and break down news and current events. And so that's,
well, and I want, of course, I want that for us, Doug.
But that's the goal, Charlie. We have to obtain that.
Yeah, but I'm looking macro here. I'm talking. I want that. I want the next generation. I want the rest of this generation. I want my fellow Americans to be striving for something in the same noble fashion. Mm-hmm. In the same noble fashion as they are now, doing the right thing by their family, doing the right thing by the people they care about. But I want it to mean something more than we're being presented.
Right. No,
there's more to come on that. There's more to come, and I don't know what to name this thing yet or what to do with it. If it's going to be video or writing or both or whatever, but it'll rear its head.
You just put it into a time capsule.
No, man, it's going to go out. It's my manifesto.
Manifesto. We have to think of something else. A diary. The Charlie McGrath Diaries.
Ooh, that sounds creepy.
Yeah, it does. So, we have some things to talk about. European Central Bank institutes negative interest rate.
You saw that, did you? That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty unprecedented. They are also over there in Euroland putting prostitution, drug dealing back into the GDP. That's what they're producing. And, I guess it's one, it shows how bad the economy really is, that they have to do this now to make the numbers look correct. Two, that it's more correct. Those big money laundering, drug dealing banks were the ones that kept the European bank solvent during the 2008 crisis that manifested. So pretty interesting stuff. And also, in the same spirit, Charlie McGrath, major terrorism trial could be held in secret for first time in UK legal history. So things are changing. Secret courts, secret trials, paying banks to just hold your money.
Look, I've said for 3 or 4 years now that when you see Rush Limbaugh or Glenn Beck or whatever, fill in the blank of your pundit, in the establishment media, and they're talking about how America's free and we don't want to go the way of France, and we don't want to go the way of Germany. These are socialist countries. Right. And it's been my contention that we're further down the road of tyranny by far than our European brothers and sisters, and this is why you've seen over the last 5 years. Look, and there's a reason for it. This is why you've seen this press on Europe over the last 5 years. And there's the reason for it is because it's made up of these individual sovereign nations, and they have to, yes, they all fall under the umbrella of the EU, but originally this was a monetary partnership between these nations, not the evaporation and governance, the entire governance of these nations under that umbrella, and that doesn't work for the globalists. They need to have the borders evaporated. They need to have self-determination be in the hands of Brussels. So, the notion that when you hear people talk about we're going the way of France, forget it. France is going the way of the United States. You're going to see more controlled, centralized government over the EU, over Europe, and you're going to see more technocratic control. They don't need to do that here because in 2008, it was complete. They did it. They gave the power needed by the Federal Reserve to be the dictatorial de facto government. They got that power. They got that, and since then, look what has happened. We've seen this build out of the security industrial complex, the massing of mass armament by alphabet agencies that is inevitably going to be used against the citizens to put down any of the pesky uprisings. But Europe is on that same path right now. They're breaking down the sovereign nations. They're giving the power to Brussels. They're giving the power to the central bank of the entire continent. and moving closer towards the time where they'll merge governance between the U.S. or between the Western powers, and you'll have this standoff between Western power, banker-controlled technocratic governance versus, fill in the blank. It looks like China, looks like Russia, becoming more and more chummy as we see this start to develop in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, out of complete necessity, and really, using the U.S. and the West and our bad diplomacy as a way to justify creating new monetary schemes. Of course, they want their own BRIC, and moving forward with their BRIC rating agency. And I mean, why would you want there to be a monopoly on companies that can determine whether you should get money? I've been watching Game of Thrones, and it's funny because, spoiler alert if you're only watching the first seasons, but the Iron Bank is part of the story, and the Iron Bank is above all of the kings, and it's where you have to go to get money, and it's ironic and relevant and pretty accurate as to how history and really where we're at, civilization as we know it has the power structure has stemmed from. So good thing for our podcast, not a good thing for the Republic. 59% say American dream is dead, and all of you out there that have correctly pegged this is 60% of the people, basically, according to CNN Money. The American dream is impossible to achieve in this country, and I don't know if that's just because people are dreaming of consumerism and having
that's the dream.
A Maserati with 26-inch rims. I mean, I don't know about that, but we have a lot of new potential doomers, people that are going to embrace this message. It's going to be more relevant with the kids. We just have to keep it fresh and keep up with the memes, and what's hip in the Dogecoin world and things like that.
Yeah, and I got a few tattoos. So that's pretty hip, right?
That is hip. It is hip.
But here's what's interesting, right? This 60% number correlates almost exactly, Doug Owen, exactly with the percentage of Americans who are now considered to be subprime credit risks. Isn't that interesting?
Yes. Yes.
So we're gonna have a lot of doomers, but they're not gonna have two nickels to rub together, which is kind of the way we like it.
Well, I mean, rich people are doing things. They don't have time for this. Let's be honest. I mean, most of the people that are going to listen to this show have more time than Pierre Omidyar. I consume MP3s and I enjoy entertainment. I love the audio formats and podcasts. So we don't just create content. We actually listen to a lot of it. Charlie McGrath can stomach actually listening to the Doomcast, and that's the metric by which we look at whether we have achieved the American dream. But that's what you were just saying. I mean, what is the American dream? How arbitrary is that question? Can you achieve that? Well, used to be to be autonomous and being able to own property and to live this dream that just doesn't exist. And I think a lot of that, and I want to get your take on that, is that we don't have Western expansionism anymore. It used to be you could just keep expanding and we're going to keep going towards California. So one of the things that you could always do is move west, if you will, and redevelop and find new avenues for production and an ever expanding need for populations to build. That's kind of over. There's a lot of things that are transitional that are changing right now that are really exciting, and unfortunately, I think that when you look at a lot of what's happening with all of these governments, it outweighs the media perception. All of this outweighs some of the really exciting things that we could be talking about. So I don't know. I have a lot of optimism, and that's pretty funny considering how skeptical I am that the future is actually going to be better considering the current trend. I mean, at some point we're going to hit peak tyranny, and people are going to get pissed off, and the government's going to have to relinquish some of the control back to the people. But I mean,
well, I don't know.
I try to be the optimist.
That is very optimistic of you. I do think. Listen, I'm going to agree with you on this point that we will hit peak tyranny, and we haven't yet.
No,
but we will. And you would have to have that position, though, Doug. I think
peak political correctness, where people just can't take it anymore, and they just start screaming racial epithets because it just feels good. They're, blah, blah, blah. I just have to say horrible things. I don't care if they fire me. I'm not going to go to your re-education camp. I'm not going to sensitivity training. I just won't do it. I will not be tolerant. I'm not tolerant. I don't want to share my bathroom with other people that wear dresses. I'm just not going to take it anymore.
Oh, I kind of want to share with people that wear dresses because they're usually girls.
No, we're talking about transgender dudes in Houston that are going to be possibly in the bathroom. I don't know. I just think it can kind of freak people out, and no matter what bathroom you go into, if you are
freaked out when I see.
If you're a guy wearing a dress, it's always going to be kind of awkward. That's why I'm a big fan of just everybody using the urinal. Women too.
That's ridiculous.
Why?
That's more ridiculous. Square Canadian wheels.
Oh, man.
I don't know what's got to do, Owen.
Sorry.
That's all right.
Bad. So,
listen. How were you
on?
Well, there's no rant here. There's just, we hit peak tyranny, and the government is forced to relinquish some of its power back to the people. Did I summarize that?
Yeah, I mean, they're very hesitant.
Yeah,
once there's
I
homegrown terrorism. Well, like the terrorism task force. Once Eric Holder has a homegrown terrorism task force, and once at some point here in the probably not too distant future, there's going to be an interdiction with the militia at the Bundy Ranch. It's going to be the same thing that we saw, at Waco. They could have gotten David Koresh at any time, but they chose to shoot the children. It's going. I think that there's a lot of things that are definitely in the works, and you and I, and I think a lot of people have kind of an insight to that because we follow it. But those things are going to, I think, bring some of these things at least to a head. I mean, every day people are being bombarded with this racism stuff. Now it's Justin Bieber, this newly released video where he's singing, dropping N-bombs and he's making fun of people singing his songs and making racial jokes, and they're like, "Oh my God, this is news, people. This is big stuff." Justin Bieber, it's all scripted, and it's all designed in time to come out and just keep people. If you weren't pissed off enough about Trayvon Martin, now, I mean, Justin Bieber, we can't go any farther.
Well, that's not peak tyranny, and that's a distraction, is what that is. I mean, that's a divide and conquer issue that is being fomented in order to do just that.
Right.
No, when you have crap come out, if you're in Europe and you have crap come out about Draghi going negative on deposits and doing an asset purchase program. Wow, sounds really familiar. You need to have the populace pissed off at something else. Can't have them mad at the system. Can't have them mad at the bankers.
Right.
Certainly can't have them mad at the government. So that political correctness, the whole pop culture ideology or idolism of people like Bieber, it's a moronic distraction at very best.
Sure.
But peak government, I mean, not peak government, that's a beautiful phrase, though. Peak tyranny, I think, could be achieved, and power could get back to the people if the power was accidentally amassed by the government. But there is no accidents in this. They didn't achieve the level of tyranny they're at now just by happenstance or just because they wrote a few pieces of legislation too many. It has got to be by design, and if it's by design, that means that the designer has no intention of relinquishing any power. So I don't see it coming back just organically. Like we're going to have the right election and get the right guy in there and suddenly have no more spreading war around the world or no more encroachment in our personal freedom because it's the right thing to do. I think that's a pipe dream, Doug Owen.
Well, it reminds me of, I think, an appropriate metaphor: the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones.
They suck. Sorry.
Well, but the thing is that
they shouldn't, but they do.
They're the most powerful franchise in the league, the most valuable, and at the same time, they're not the best. They haven't been the best since the 90s. They don't win Super Bowls, but if they continue at 8-8, pretty much scoring 500 across the board, it's just good enough for everybody that's in charge, including Jerry Jones, the family, and the city of Dallas, and maybe even the fans to a certain extent because of the fan base. Millions of people being in this state, and then at one time being the America's team, the Team America for really the nation. For people that are in the United States, it's World Cup-esque, and it's just as shady and greasy. But Jerry Jones can continue. And the only way that anything will change, the only way that there will ever be a regime overthrow or a complete breakdown and a reassessment of the team and what the hell the business is doing, because it's profitable. They're making money regardless of how they suck. The only way that's going to happen is that things have to get a lot worse. And so, it's not me being optimistic is only in that at some point I think that if people are so dissatisfied and we're well on our way to being there because the people that are running the show are completely out of touch. Mm-hmm. They are just wildly, insanely rich, and the majority of people in this country are becoming poor and poor and poor. And all of the socialist, solutions, welfare, other, subsidies are only letting this, it really creating, engendering, the ultimate, fail. And I think that's what's happening in Europe, and that's why we have a new term, Euro-Scepticism, because people are Euro-Sceptics. I've been a long time Euro-Sceptic. And so it's nice to see people like me getting a nice, nifty new think term.
What's the definition of
Nigel Farage, Pepe Grillo, their partnership, UKIP, Le Pen, maybe even the Golden Dawn in Greece. A lot of these political parties that are garnering a lot of votes, upwards of 33%, and that is it's a lot of votes, and in the European system of governance, you get a platform and to rabble rouse and really piss people off. So,
in a lot of cases, 33% is enough to get your party in position of power. I mean, it will be the minority majority, and it's a tyranny of a democracy in action, sir. It is indeed.
It was a Jeopardy question, as a matter of fact, today.
Really?
As a matter of fact, yeah.
The majority minority?
Yeah.
It's accurate, though, correct?
Yeah, it is. It's the people like in Texas. There's more Hispanic people than there are white, so we are the minority majority, which means that you benefit. This isn't true, but it's the idea that you benefit and that white people are still in control, even though they're an ethnic minority. You can say the same for maybe a country like Israel in the Middle East. I mean, they dictate a lot of global policy towards Middle Eastern actors, other partners, and foes in the region. They dictate a lot of foreign policy for being a huge ethnic minority.
Yeah. Well, I think
that's the term, my friend. You're smarter than you thought, huh?
Yeah, I am. I didn't know how smart I was until just now. But what else you brought? What else you bring to the program?
Well, I mean, do we have any softball updates? Have we won over any of the people on the team? Do they still think that we're insane? Are more people falling off?
No, they've quit winning. So since they've quit winning, I think they've lost the interest in. They're starting to lose interest in the actual performance aspect of softball.
So now they're getting more into the alcohol imbibing aspect.
That's right, and which is always a benefit for the Doom if you're not winning, then your mind automatically.
There's a lot of people that are kind of doomy in bars. So if they're going to bars drinking, that could be good.
That's right. 2-3 is now their record.
500. No, wait.
No, almost. They got to win one more. Last night's game was a loss, but the team captain Ashley, she had an absolutely fantastic game with 2 home runs, and I believe. Let me look at my stat here. I think she had 4 RBIs, as well as was involved in 2 double plays. So we had 1 star, but the rest of the team didn't show up. So I don't know if there's an internal power struggle going on with Team Doomcast, but they need to get their poop in a group, because right now they're looking a lot like the aforementioned Dallas Cowboys, where they should be winning. They got all kinds of talent, but they ain't doing it.
Well, yeah. Priorities.
Yeah, beer. You got to get to that beer after the game.
Yeah, for sure. Well, one of the things that we have been often asked about is swag. Swag. Explain the shirt deal. Go. Yeah, so we have a domain forwarding to the Spreadshirt website. It's blacklistednation.com, which is pretty simple. And there's a link at doomcast.com on the right-hand side next to the essentials. I think it says Doomcast gear. I could probably just click on over there and look at it. But it's you guys are smart. You can figure it out. If you just look up blacklistednation.com or Doomcast gear, you'll find it. If you can't, just email Charlie or I, and we'll get back with you if you really want a shirt. One of the cool things is that there's some shirts that are available. I'm going to make some coffee mugs, other things that are going to be near and dear to my heart, things that I could be using right now to enhance the show.
Oh, boy. I think I know where you're going, Owen.
Shot glasses. Yeah. There's some other things for adult beverage imbibers, some of our Doom softball team members, other things that are going to be available. It's kind of cool because you can put your own text. You can actually modify the different graphics, add different pictures. So I've got one that's just check it out. Go there real quick, Charlie McGrath.
Give me the dealio again.
It's blacklistednation.com.
Oh, you sent me that. Yeah. Okay. Hold on.
Yeah, go there. This way you can visualize what I'm talking about here. But we have a Punisher T-shirt. There's one that has a Punisher logo on it. You can easily remove it. You can change the color of the shirt's text. And so I bought one. And with shipping and it being an American Apparel, it's a really nice shirt. The print is that it's almost like a vinyl. It's not a pressed ink, but it is vinyl, and it's pretty nice. I think that it's going to last for quite a while, and even if it does kind of wear out, that'll just kind of make it cooler, quite honestly. But it was $28, I think, with shipping. You have to pay a little bit for the shipping. We don't make much off of the actual sales, so if you buy it, it's not really a way to monetarily support the show, but it's a way to, of course, start conversations at your local coffee house, or just to show your pride in being part of the Doom Nation and part of real media infotainment that goes beyond the corporate and government matrix. So blacklistednation.com, check it out. You can put your own logos there. If you send us graphics or any other ideas or products that you would like to see, you can actually take the logos that we have there and put those on other products. So if we don't have it available in the store, you can just go and make it really it has a whole little customizer. And for people that have messed with Cafe Press or Zazzle or some of those other websites that are kind of similar, it's pretty much the same thing. It's got a what you see is what you get editor, a WYSIWYG for all of you geeks that would actually know that. Like
I really like the inverted flag. That's that one you sent me.
That's my wife said, "Ooh, controversial."
Yeah, I like it a lot. I like. I'm not a big fan of the Punisher one just because it's that's the Punisher. But what's the triple star? I don't know what that is. That like
it looks kind of military. I don't know.
Yeah. It's almost kind of like Soviet propaganda-y type of thing. So that's kind of cool. Keep calm and doom on. I'm pretty sure that was going to be eventually at some point put on a T-shirt. A lighter
inevitably,
side. Yeah. I like it, Owen.
So that's one of the things to mention. Go ahead and support the show. If you go to doomcast.com/support, you can support the show, and we have a few
support it up.
We can hopefully compel you to do that. And let's see, any other things to plug? Michael Hastings and, of course, Bowe Bergdahl. I mean, I do have some other tie-ins and interesting nuggets from this story. I'm sure that you've been watching some of it. How can you not see the whole media apparatus in full swing, especially the right and the left? This guy is no hero. Oh, my God, we're working with terrorists. So the whole negotiation process, the fact that all of the story has been classified is pretty telling in and of itself. But the guy's dad, who speaks Patosh, which is a very, very rare dialect of Arabic, is pretty notable. And when he was meeting with Barack Obama, I don't know if you saw the clip, but basically praising Allah for his son's return, and this thing has turned into a kind of a media circus. I don't know where the psyop starts and where it ends, but one of the most interesting things is that back in 2012, Michael Hastings, the now deceased Michael Hastings, the reporter that brought down General Stanley McChrystal, did a huge expose on Bowe Bergdahl. And he was the guy that, of course, left his post and decided to join up with the Taliban. And that didn't work out well for him, but I think it's a huge slap in the face for the veterans. It's the third tier of the tertiary now level of scandals to distract away from other scandals distract from other scandals. Then,
and I kind of took the same slant on that. The massive amount of distraction.
There was Benghazi, then it was the VA secret list. Now it's this. I'm just waiting for something else next week, or maybe it's going to be the Seattle shooting and the diagnosis of this person.
Taking the story at the face value, the Bergdahl story, Sergeant Bergdahl, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, Sergeant Bergdahl. If you take his story at face value, which I don't, but
right.
Not at all. But if you do, I find it interesting the John McCain's and Lindsey Graham's, the enemies of Obama.
Isn't he a creepy guy? I hate to interrupt.
Graham?
But Lindsey Graham is just. He just
needs to admit it. He needs to just come on out of the closet and admit it.
Oh, big time. But he's just so weird and clammy, and I'm always taken aback that he is voted in over and over and over again. Just based on his creepiness and clamminess.
He's no more creepy than John McCain. Uber creepy.
There's something about his eyes. I don't know.
That's what we got.
Off.
There's a little bit of Satan at work, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But anyway, it is a made for distraction event. Nobody can just be happy for the fact that this guy he's back, right? He's no longer missing. He's no longer a POW, regardless if he wandered off and joined whatever, the Taliban, who, guess what? They won. They're going to be in power again as soon as we only have 10,000 troops there. But
we're already meeting with them and working with them, and they're probably going to be the Plan B, because Karzai and his drug dealing now deceased brother have. There's two things with that.
Karzai's go ahead.
I was just going to say that, he talks a big game about, screw the U.S., but, that's great domestic policy, too. Yeah.
Well, he's done anyway, so the new guys coming in are going to have to sign a deal in order to, be the ally to have the kind of funding roll in that they're used to, or that they need to have roll in. But it's all going to hell in a handbasket. Look at Iraq. How many hundreds of people are dying every single week. because of the destabilization efforts that were put in by us.
Right.
So do we really think, are we really foolish enough to think that there's some kind of victory achieved in Afghanistan, of all places? I mean, that is the nation other nations go to, other world powers go to get their head handed to them. And, I think that the same alleged bad actors that we went over there to punish are going to be right back in power. I think they already are in power. I really do. I mean, I think we've had thousands of Americans die, and who knows how many nationals die, just to turn it back into exactly what it was before we were there.
Well, the only difference is that it's not going to be an independent operation. The Silk Road is going to be run and secured by U.S. presence or military technology, the remnant private security. These are
the global force for good.
Yeah, they're going to be friendlies, and they're going to be the same people that they're paying to allow all of these UN and NATO and allied.
Let's look at it from a conspiracy. So the story is, he wandered off. He wanted his comrades are saying that he's a turncoat. Beforehand, he wanders off of his own volition,
disillusioned about the mission, decided to join up with his brethren. Yeah,
right. So, and then after several years, we get him back, and now there's a big hullabaloo going on. Talking of impeachment because Obama didn't follow the proper procedure and protocol for releasing 5 terrorists, and these terrorists are going to end up, and that's the other take.
Well, that the last one he released from Benghazi that was involved in the whatever happened at Benghazi,
right?
Another Gitmo detainee.
I think Gitmo has turned into, I think it's a terrorist factory.
Yep.
That we operate and we build, right? Yep. We build these terrorists up so we can
we Manchurian mind control them. We put chips in their brains and we send them on their way. We torture them. We use them for experimentation.
I think we're creating the future war on terror now. We're creating it, not accidentally either. There's that argument that we imprison people indefinitely forever. We're building terrorists around the world every day just by that act, which it is true, right? Sure. That is a byproduct of when you have complete breakdown of rule of law of a nation, and we throw people in black holes. Of course, there's going to be people angry about it. But I truly believe, Doug Owen, that we have a little terrorist factory down there, and we're setting them out, setting them loose so that they can do the things that we accuse them of doing.
Oh yeah. It might be a place for insiders. I mean, and who knows who you're really releasing? What's really happening? Even to be more conspiratorial. I mean, who are these guys they released? Did they really have this? I mean, all of this seemed very. I don't know. People were so overwhelmed with the video, and it was just so over the top, I guess, for people to think, okay, well, you're gonna have this media event where we give these terrorists, we start negotiating with terrorists, and this whole platform. I mean, this is the same media that we discussed. 6,000 of them, basically, just showing their turncoat ways by, basically keeping a CIA agent's identity secret that was released and is known to them. So, I mean, you're going to have another Valerie Plame moment, but the media is completely controlled, completely doing whatever the CIA tells them to do, obviously. So that's not a conspiracy. That's just good scripted, media that is for general consumption. But the whole thing, I mean, I don't buy any of it. I really do think that this guy was a spy, is a spy, that he was maybe, because he already spoke Arabic. It doesn't make sense that this guy had all of these highly sought-after skills that would, put him in intelligence, that would put him in a language school. And, he's a grunt. I mean, come on now. This doesn't...
And you know what? And another, from the conspiratorial perspective, another outcome of this is going to be Orwellian, right? This is going to be a little bit Orwellian, where we're going to build this notion in the good folks' mind of the country that if a soldier comes back from wherever, fighting the war on terror, and he is a dissenter, you draw this nexus between dissenter and traitor, right?
Right.
So
the only thing I have a question about, and I want to get your opinion on, is that obviously the backstory was so bad that there was no way, not even the compromised media that we have today was not going to jump on the fact that this guy was a traitor, and up to 6 people died. And that's, I guess, in contention now, but I remember these stories coming out back in 2012, and nobody really taking this to the national level or becoming a huge story. It was just kind of one of those oddball ones. Oh, you have a defector, you have a guy that went to the Taliban. That seems odd. That doesn't happen often. But I think obviously there's so many different inconsistencies with. Well,
I don't think it's not even a proven fact that he. I mean, it's conjecture, isn't it, at this point, that he decided he was going to become Taliban? I mean,
he left notes apparently. But my question is, did the Obama administration giving him this hero's welcome really think that he was going to be embraced as this hero, or did they know that there was just going to be this huge backfire, that this is going to be a media snafu? Because it went from everybody being very excited and, ooh, we've brought a hero home, even all the military apologists.
Yeah.
Really.
I think it's absolutely impossible to...
Did they know that this would happen? Did they know that this would be so controversial, or did they think that this would just distract us?
Both, yes, and it would distract us. They how can they not know? It isn't like they it isn't like they said, well, we'll trade these 5 guys for this guy, and the world's going to love us because he's a hero who got
negotiations
captured.
Have been going on for 6 months allegedly.
Yeah, you think that the powers that be didn't know everything this guy ever wrote or said or did? You don't think that they interviewed? I'm not asking you this, Doug. I'm saying generally. Of course, they interviewed the guys that he worked with on a daily basis in Afghanistan, in the army. Guess what? Real easy audience to pimp for information. They knew this guy's backstory forward and reverse. So there's no way they didn't understand what was going to happen. So, that being a truism. Right, and I think it would be a losing argument to argue against that. You have to ask yourself why. Then, well, the second point of what you just said, complete and utter divisiveness, and you'll have, again, it's 2014. We have a midterm coming up. Let's get the hate rolling.
Yeah, well, everybody's waiting for Hillary. Everybody's excited about that, and I think that's the only.
Wow, that's really too delicious to believe.
Is it? I don't know.
We came, we saw, he died.
She'll get to business.
Just like going and buying a Coach bag at the mall. That's what that reminds me of.
Yeah.
It's so, just so blah. So whatever. It just happened. No big deal.
Yeah.
But we have to pass the bill so that you can find out what is in it.
Yeah, Nancy Pelosi's still in power, right? Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you about a little lady named Cynthia G, who's in Naples, Florida. Old Cynthia G decided she wanted to stop in and donate $50 to the cause. Thank you very much, Cynthia G.
Yeah, absolutely. That is great. Thank you so much.
That's where the end of my list goes.
No. We're far from being able to escape the Matrix.
Yeah, well, we're $50 closer, but...
$50 closer. That's not too bad, I guess.
Yeah, it's no better than. Do you have anything to report on
that? No, not really. I mean, we always get great feedback and lots of people contributing, but in a lot of ways supporting us. Of course, we always have to give a big shout out to our executive producer, of course, Mr. Craig Simpson, who always supports the show. So.
Who's a Q-bot right now?
Yeah. That's it, man. I'm sad to say. That is it.
Well, you know what? Here's the deal. I am very encouraged by the constant stream of feedback that we get, and even if it's a week where we only have Cynthia G to talk about as far as contributors to the program, it's still something we do every week. There's people who are always taking part and always donating when they can, and I have no doubt that that we are on the right path with this little experiment we call Doomcast.
It's almost too delicious to believe, my friend.
Love that, broad.
Sean
What do you got
McGrath.
going? Oh, let me wrap it up. I didn't know we were wrapping up. Okay. My name's Sean McGrath. My website is wideawakenews.com. My co-founder, my friend, is Doug Owen. It's blacklistednews.com. If you want to send me an email, send it to info@wideawakenews.com. If you want to send Doug Owen an email, send it to doug@blacklistednews.com. And as always, please take the time to go over to doomcast.com, visit the uploads there, check it out, and you'll be able to find a link to Blacklisted Nation there, I'm assuming. You can build yourself a Doomcast t-shirt, right, Doug Owen?
That's exactly right. Do that, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
Peace out, y'all.